Hi, Subject 36 here. I'm very excited to end this week. Been working on multiple projects which are turning out to be really good. So things are looking up for the electronic music world. Superbooth has been finished, and out of Superbooth came a lot of new synthesizers, especially in the modular world. World I have just tapped on the surface, but I'm guessing that's not very far away. Last week we did some sampling and made a beat out of that, so I continued that song and made a full song out of it. And since I was actually having a cold this week, I couldn't sing normally. I'm not a good singer anyhow, but I had to do something a little bit different. But it turned out to be a pretty dark and intense single. So I'm releasing that at the moment. Probably gonna hit Spotify and iTunes during next week. Today, let's go through the session of my new single, Falling from Grace. See you. Cheers guys, welcome. So, when we ended the session with sampling last time, we had a beat going on and I couldn't hold myself. I just had to work with it, and I did. However, I've been having a bit of a cold, so my voice wasn't up for it when I wanted to sing a little bit. So I decided to make some interesting song arrangement here. We'll get to that, all right? So, but here's the beat. If you don't remember, a quick repetition. I used Drum Machine to get my samples in. So I have the kick. This is basically a plastic thump and a rope thump together. Snare. This is just taking a plastic lid and banging it to the table. Two metal objects that I had lying around. Same here. This is just also some plastic. Yeah. So all these sounds I put in the Drum Machine, and I made some beats. Here we have. Very simple beat here. In the chorus it becomes a little bit more intense. Besides the crash, all of these sounds are the ones that we sample. So this is what you can do with it, all right? So I made a song, I arranged it as well. This is the quick tip for you guys as well, if you haven't worked with this. But using this arrangement part here, you can access it from here. The arrangement part is really nice working with. You simply click the plus button and you fill out with more sections, and then you open them up and you can choose what name you want for them. The standard intro, verse, chorus, bridge and outro are here. You can also put on a different name if you want to. If you have one of these selected like this, you can alt click, alt C, and then you get the, sorry I have double screens here. Then you will get the color menu up, so you can choose colors for these as well. I love color coding everything I do, as you see in my the rest of the session as well. So I made a little bit of arrangement, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, da 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 da, to make this song a little bit longer than I usually do. I have a bass line. This is just a standard bass that we did in Divan. I think I programmed this one last time we were here as well. In the chorus it becomes a little bit more boring. But you see I'm working with glide here as well. So very simple notes here, and I repeat them quite a lot. So a bit of a simple bass line here. But then I also put in this, I call it tap bass. Comes in from here. To get a little bit more high register sound to the bass, and a little bit more pumping as well. This is faster than they work together. Okay. So let's listen now to the first verse here. So as I said, I had a bit of a cold when I recorded this, so I decided to utilize that. I had a bit of a, and also we have a lot of pollen at the moment. So I had this, you know, I can, when you go low into the voice, this is much more easier for me to do when I have a cold. So I decided to take advantage of it. So this is what I did. So, if we continue to talk about the verse here, I recorded the same part twice, but then I utilize quite a lot of automation here. I put on one of the tracks here, I put a gain. Here we go, gain plugin, and I use that one to go from almost infinity to 0 dB when I need to. So this is accentuating the first word and then the word twilight over here. If we go soul on this baby. Oh, okay, it was the twilight, sorry. Twilight comes later. Winner, okay. So we have sinner and winner here, and then in the second line here is twilight. So twilight, and then eternity. For eternity. I mean, by themselves they don't really sound that interesting at all. It's when you put them together with everything, especially the music, obviously, but the main lead, which is the lower one here, and just to let you guys know, I can't really sing, you know. I have a very hard time keeping a tune, and I know that, so pitch correction. And then I put a whisper here as well, which is just to more accentuate some of the words. So sinner there, and twilight. And here I do some extensive processing of this one. I have a Sheps Vocal 1, which I mashed up quite a lot. No, I didn't. No, this one I left as it was. I just messed a little around with compression threshold. Chorus, I used the vocal backup preset, which is pretty okay. And then I used the spreader plugin, which comes with Logic. I like this one. You gotta keep track of the idea that your track still works in mono, though. So do that a little bit now and then. Check for mono compatibility. And then Arena, this is a plugin that came with Computer Magazine in one of their issues. So this was a free plugin, or, well, you know, subscriptionware plugin, where I put a room on 50%, 50%, 40% mix, so it's quite a lot. And, well, I did damp it a bit as well, so it wouldn't drag on too long. This reverb is huge, so if you leave the damping below 50% and have a high mix, you will have almost infinity reverb going on here. So that's what I did, and I still use the Sends for this as well. I have a slap here. If I click it, you can see it here. which is a tape delay slap of I think 160 milliseconds, 166 milliseconds. I have a plate reverb, which I also do in addition to the Arena. I have a delay. It states a quarter note delay, but it's more like an eighth delay. And this one, my crusher. Here I send stuff to a compressor which is turned up to full. So I have a ratio of 5 to 6 to 1. I have a lot of makeup gain, no auto gain, almost full makeup gain. And I have an auto release, pretty quick attack, and the threshold goes down, so I get compression, crazy compression. And I also did that soft distortion here as well on this one. It's got some character to it. So that's to get especially vocals, but in this particular time also the whispers up in my face. And all the vocals here, except the whispers, they are processed in what I call a verse. This is a track stack. I use them quite heavily. Track stacks, I love them. So I group tracks together and then I do the final processing of the tracks up here instead of doing it on the individual channels. So in the individual channels I do what is specific to that particular channel, but what's specific to the whole verse I do here. First thing I do is to set up compression and compressing vocals on a mix bus. The Fairchild 670 emulation is perfect for that. So I have quite heavy compression going on here as well, going to 9, which is a lot. Here you basically get the color. This is the input gain. And after that I do a little bit of spreading here as well, widen up the stereo image of the voices. Initially when I did this and I recorded this, I actually recorded more voices and I then panned them hard left and hard right. But since I'm not a very experienced singer, I'm not a good singer and I'm not even an experienced singer, it was hard for me to catch the wording and the phrasings on beat every time, meaning that I got small delays in the different takes all at once. And when I stacked these up, I had as much as 4 of them stacked together, panned hard left, hard right, and then somewhere in the middle too as well. It became too mushy, too blurry, it was blurry. I couldn't get any clarity whatsoever. So I actually deleted 2 tracks and I hid one of them with this volume automation that you saw, and I carried just the 1 track, and then I instead pushed that one a little bit further with processing instead. So if we look at the track in particular, I have pitch correction, I have the vocal aggro setting here, which pushes the vocal up in your face quite a lot already within the Schoeps channel. I do a little bit of chorus here. It's not a lot, 32% mix. But then on the bus I also do a lot of compressing. I spread it and I do some clean up EQing of the voice as well. So what I noticed here was that usually I scoop out a lot of 500 on stuff, but in this particular case, when I had this character of the voice, it actually works in 500, so I didn't scoop out that much here. Just around 2K and just above 100, I also saw that I had a lot of stuff going on. However, it became too mushy with the bass and a pad. I also have a pad going on here, and my voice being this deep and dark, so I had to do a lot of bass scooping on the voice here. So this is to be able to have a little bit more clarity in the mix. And then I utilize a lot of sends. I have a slap, I've got a plate delay, I got a quarter note plate reverb, I've got a quarter note delay, and I have a huge reverb here as well. And this is a tape delay with a quarter note and Arena placed in a chain, and then I do some equalization on this. I scoop out everything beneath, what is it, 630 Hertz. with a quite steep curve as well on 24 dB per octave. So that's what I do on the voices for the verse. I do very similar one on the chorus, similar processing. Here I really tried to sing so I would have 2 layers on top of each other. So it's a little bit more mushy since I'm not very good at it. I did record 4 of them. I ended up using only 2, and I panned them center instead and worked with processing to widen up the stereo image instead of panning them hard right and hard left, because it became a little bit too mushy. Didn't work. And the third one I also did some accentuation, automation control. Besides that, it looks very similar to the first one, except the fact that I don't do a lot of heavy EQing on the chorus, since the EQ that I do on the individual tracks was enough here. So I just push them together, squeeze them together with a Fairchild 670, and I do some spreading, stereo spreading on that. This is the chorus. So that kind of works. Then this is going on, then a bridge, a small organ. I use 3 different types of organs here. This is what I call a piano, vampire organ. So a little bit of a New Orleans vampire theme going on here. It's Diva with an organ preset, which I fiddle around with a little bit to work with. Let's see which one it is. It's the Juno Jupiter Mellow Piano. All right. Then I put this through the amplifications within Logic. So the amp sim in Logic, it's if you want to have a heavy metal guitar tone, it's very hard to get it with that one. I think the other third-party plugins works best with that one. But if you want to work with messing up synth sounds and voices and stuff like that, I think this is unbeatable because it's very low on CPU. So I use this quite a lot for that. And the Cabit simulator is quite good, and it works. You can move the microphone around as well, which is nice. So I put some distortion on it. I also put a Leslie, fake Leslie, through the tape simulator J37 from Waves here. So this is to get a little bit of a tape sound to it, and this fluctuation and Leslie type on it. Let's hear it with and without. This is with. Let's remove it. Completely different sound, I would say. All right. Schoeps omnichannel setup. Use the Hammond preset. I think the only thing I messed around here was the threshold knob for the compression to get the compression I wanted. Channel EQ. Once again, stacking EQs up on top of each other. First, I use the EQ within Schoeps omnichannel for getting the character of the sound. Then I put some kind of let's say surgical EQ afterwards to make it work within the mix itself. So in this case I scoop out quite a lot of lows, I scoop out a bunch of 500s so it wouldn't compete with the voice, and I scoop out a bunch of 2K here to not compete with the voice. So basically this EQ here is to make sure I don't mess up the mix with too much bass. This is not a sound that needs bass anyhow, and then leave room for the voice to not compete with the voice. So that's the EQ part here. I have a second organ Lush. Once again, Diva in the works. This one is processed a little bit less. It's one of the presets, Juno Jupiter 15 organ, and I do not remember if I did any knob turning on this one. Probably not. It sounds quite great from scratch, I would say. Hammond preset once again, and then plate reverb and some quarter note delay. That was all needed for this one. I think it works quite well. And then I have an organ pad here as well. Give it a little bit more majestic feel and so on. So this is in the background quite a lot in many places. Also one of the presets from Diva. Ephemeral Spirit. I think I messed around with this one quite a lot before I got it sounding the way I wanted. Shep's Omnichannel, and here I dialed in on my own some smaller tweaks. It wasn't very much. I left the EQ section. I've left almost everything. I scoop out a little bit of the lows. I don't do any saturation on this one, and I don't do any compression, which is kind of interesting. Last part then. In the final parts of the song, I have something going on before the final chorus, and that is a small piece of prayer. Since the theme of the song, I realized quite quickly I was working with a very, very dark song. So when I wrote the text, I was thinking about normal men falling from grace. You know, that's what the theme of the song is. It's not about, you know, people born with a destiny to become criminals and bad guys, and then, you know, their journey. This is not about that. This is about you're born to do great things in life, but you don't. You end up doing bad things instead. So I found a prayer, which was quite the mouthful, I would say, to recite. Let's listen to it.
I am always conscious of my sins. I have sinned against you, only against you, and done what you consider evil. So you're right in judging me, you're justified in condemning me. I have been evil from the day I was born, from the time I was conceived.
All right, so there you go. It's not your happy thanks for dinner prayer exactly. This one is pitch correct, and then I used the telephone preset. I remember that Chris Lonalgi actually had a preset in the last SSL plugin from Waves with some kind of radio telephone preset. That was really great. I think he captures, at least for my voice, he captures the frequencies exactly to boost and scoop to get a good high pitch tone. So I used that one and compressed it a little bit within the plugin as well, and then I put a chorus on it to get a little bit more spreading on it, and then I spread it further with this stereo widening tool in Logic as well. I dialed this one I think I dialed in on my own, or if this is maybe the default, I don't know. Yeah, 1000 Hertz and 20%. So, but full mix. So I probably did this. So dial this on my own. All right, and then I follow this through with a couple of doubles here. I actually recorded my voice several times here. And here I do something cool. I do a pitch shift. So I mix a 25% 1 octave down. And then I do pretty heavy chorusing here. No, not heavy, just 38%, so it's not that. And backups. So, and then with this one, I left the last part in to get a little bit more oomph in the end. Yeah, that was the idea. So together they all sound like this.
From the time I was conceived.
Yeah, and these goes all the way up to the vocal chain for the verse, which has a send to the huge reverb, and this is something I do sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Reverb huge. This is a send channel. This is a bus. But if you... Let's check the bus. Here it is. What you can do here on a bus, wherever it is to right click it and then you can create a track. Alright, so that's what I did. And I have it here. Why? To be able to automate it. Here we go. The volume of Reverb Huge works in this. So that's how it works. I write the volume of the particular reverb there, not the not a gain plugin, and I don't automate the send from the individual channel and leave the reverb untouched. I actually automate the volume of the reverb bus channel. All right. Last chorus, nothing special, drums becomes a little bit more intense. Then I have an outro here where I return back. Shutting the sounds off one by one. So, pretty simple build up. Pretty dark song, but it was really fun making it. Hope you like it.